They gave my college fund to my brother. So I built my own future from nothing. When I finally got my college acceptance letter, I thought it was the moment I'd been waiting for my whole life. But my dad looked right at me and said, "You're not going to college." Just like that. No big argument, no drama, just cold, flat words over the rim of his coffee mug. And then he handed my future to my younger brother. 6 months later, they were the ones calling me, begging me to come back. But let me take you back to that day. It wasn't some big shouting match like you see in the movies. It was quiet, cold, almost like a business meeting that I wasn't invited to. I remember the smell of burned coffee sitting too long on the warmer. I was standing in the living room, sweating from the summer heat, holding that letter, my dream school, smiling like an idiot. That letter was 4 years of hard work. I'd kept my nose clean, worked weekends, skipped parties and vacations, all to stay focused. Because my parents always said the same thing. You work hard, son, and we'll get you to college. Every birthday, every report card, every awkward family dinner. They made it sound like a promise. But that morning, Mom didn't even look up from her crossword puzzle, and Dad didn't bother getting out of his chair. He took a sip of his coffee and said, "Yeah, about that. You're not going." At first, I laughed. I thought he was kidding. But then he said, "It's all gone. We gave it to James." James, my little brother, the one who never passed a class without cheating, the one who crashed 2 cars by 17, the one who could charm his way out of anything and into trouble twice as fast. I couldn't even get the words out. And Dad? He just leaned back like he'd finished a long day. "He deserves it more," he said. "He's got potential. He just needs a little help to get serious. You'll figure something out." I wish I could say I yelled, slammed doors, demanded an explanation, but I didn't. I just stood there staring at them, letter trembling in my hand, realizing all those years, the work, the sacrifice, the self-discipline, meant nothing. I walked upstairs in silence, grabbed my old duffel bag from middle school soccer, packed my laptop, some clothes, and the little cash I'd saved from after-school jobs. No one tried to stop me. Mom didn't look up. Dad stayed planted. James? He was probably off somewhere, enjoying the life that was supposed to be mine. I didn't know where I was going when I stepped outside. The cicadas were loud in the muggy air, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't coming back. That first night, I slept in my car. No plan. No real idea of what I was doing. Just drove around until my gas light came on, then pulled into a Walmart parking lot. Reclined the seat, stared at the worn-out roof liner, and waited for a message. A call? Something. But my phone stayed dark. No one cared. The next few days were all about survival. I pawned my old Xbox for gas money. Took under-the-table gigs, cleaning warehouses, helping people move, hauling junk. I slept with one hand on the door lock, ate canned soup, hunted job boards. And yeah, I felt small. But there was this little flame inside me that refused to die. I kept thinking about what Dad said. James deserves it more. That phrase burned in my chest, not with rage that made you punch walls, but the kind that made you want to build something real, something no one could take. One day, I spotted a flyer in the cracked window of a rundown coffee shop. Space for rent, cheap, no questions asked. It was a shoebox, tucked behind a falling-apart strip mall, smaller than a storage locker, but it had walls, a roof, a plug to charge my phone. I didn't even have first and last month's rent. But the landlord, a tough woman named Connie, just said, "You hustle, you stay." So I hustled, worked whatever I could during the day, and at night, I sketched ideas on scrap paper. I started flipping old furniture, cleaning it up, repainting it, listing it online. It wasn't glamorous. I was still living on ramen and peanut butter from the dollar store. But slowly, hope started creeping in. And I didn't tell a soul. No posts. No texts, no calls home. I was building something in the dark, something just for me. Meanwhile, James made the news. It started with whispers. A message from a neighbor. Hey, your brother's in trouble at college. Then a local headline on my cracked phone. Freshman suspended after frat house vandalism incident. There he was, grinning like a fool, spray paint in hand, standing in front of a trashed student lounge. The golden boy. The one who deserved it more. I didn't laugh, didn't feel smug. I just turned off my phone and got back to work because I knew then they'd bet everything on the wrong son, and they were about to find out. The local paper had even written a little piece about me. Folks around town respected what I built, not for what I could give them, just for who I was. No safety net, no handouts, no college fund, just me. And that thought made my stomach twist when I pictured going back there, sitting at that same old kitchen table where Dad once told me I wasn't going anywhere. But the thing is, I wasn't mad anymore. I wasn't even bitter. I was done. One evening, I finally picked up one of Mom's calls. Not to explain, not to argue, just to close the door. Her voice was full of hope. Honey, thank God. We've been so worried. We just want to talk. Maybe come by this weekend? I let her finish. Then I said, real quiet, no. There was silence on the line, the kind that cuts through you. What do you mean no? She asked. I'm not coming back. Not for a visit, not to talk, not for anything. Sweetheart, please. We're family. I smiled, but not kindly. You were a family when it was easy. Now, you're just people I used to know. I heard her gasp, maybe even cry. You made your choice when you threw my future away like pocket change, I said. Now I'm making mine. I hung up before the begging could start, before the tears, the promises. I just stared at the screen for a moment, then turned the phone off, like cutting the last thread of a kite that had been dragging behind me for years. And just like that, my hand felt lighter. I stepped out onto the porch of my little shop home. The sky was painted in gold and red as the sun dipped. I could smell fresh-cut wood in the warm air, hear the hum of traffic. That smell. It wasn't just sawdust. It was freedom. I stood there for a long time, taking it all in. That boy who used to ache for their approval. He wasn't me anymore. I wasn't trying to fix their mistakes or carry their weight. I'd built something solid, something mine, and I realized I didn't have to run from the past anymore. I'd already made it through, and maybe the best kind of payback isn't revenge. It's survival. Quiet, steady, beautiful survival. You'd think walking away from your family would feel like a battle, like guilt and doubt would gnaw at you all night. But it didn't feel like that. There was just peace. The kind you feel in a wide open field after a storm, like the first deep breath you've taken in years. For a long time, I thought love meant giving everything up just to make room for someone else. That if I gave enough, maybe they'd finally see me. But real love doesn't ask you to disappear. Your dreams shouldn't be handed over just because they share your last name. I didn't owe them an explanation or another shot. I owed myself the chance to be free. And I took it. Listen close. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. If you're where I was, standing at that crossroads, unsure if you should keep giving to people who wouldn't even notice if you vanished, I want you to know something. Walking away from folks who only remember you when they need something, that's not cruel. That's strength. You're not broken because you're tired of proving you're worth loving. You are enough, even if they never told you. And letting go of people who made you question that, well, that might just be the truest act of love you ever show yourself. I didn't go looking for updates, but life has a funny way of passing them along. An old neighbor told me, a few months after that last call, things back home unraveled fast. James's debts didn't disappear just 'cause he dropped out. Dad had already drained the college fund for him. nothing left. Dad had to sell his truck. Mom picked up a second job out by the edge of town. James kept acting like the world owed him something, same as always. They tried to keep up appearances, but you can only hide the cracks for so long before the whole house falls apart. And me? I was busy sanding tabletops, signing new contracts, and growing something real. No gloating, no revenge, just peace. Funny thing about peace, you start noticing the small stuff. Mornings feel different, not heavy, just calm. You can actually hear yourself think again. I got a better rental, nothing big, but clean. There was a little patch of grass out back where I'd sit and watch the world go by. No shouting downstairs, no biting comments at dinner, just me, breathing without guilt. The business took off quicker than I expected. Word of mouth mostly. One happy customer would tell a friend, and that friend would tell two more. Before I knew it, I wasn't just scraping by, I was earning real money. Not the kind that makes headlines, but enough to save, enough to dream. People came back, not just for the furniture, but for me. One day, this older couple, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, came in to pick up a custom piece. They shook my hand and said, "You should be proud. You're building something real, something that matters." And that hit deeper than I expected. Because for the first time, someone saw me for who I chose to become, not as someone's backup plan. I didn't need to prove anything anymore. Not to them, not to strangers, not even to myself. All the power they held over me, their money, their love, their approval, it was gone. Turns out, I'd only ever believed it had power. Freedom doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like a slow Sunday morning. Like a workshop that smells like sawdust and second chances. It's sipping cheap coffee from a chipped mug and realizing you don't have to answer the phone just because someone calls. It's laughing, really laughing, without glancing over your shoulder. I made friends who didn't know my past, people who didn't carry all those old assumptions like baggage. And I had a new dream, to buy my own building, to grow the shop, and maybe one day teach other kids, the kind nobody bets on, how to build something with their own two hands. I stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming. And you know what? I didn't even need it anymore. In truth, the people who only love you when you're useful, they were never family to begin with. Family is the folks who stand by you, even when there's nothing in it for them. The ones who cheer for you in the background, quietly holding space for your dreams. I don't know what James is doing now. Don't know if Dad still sits in that recliner pretending like he didn't throw away what mattered most. Don't know if Mom still looks at my empty seat on holidays and wonders why I haven't come back. And to be honest, I don't care. Because I've got my own table now, my own seat. And when I look around at the life I've built, the people I've chosen, the peace I finally feel, I don't see anything missing. I just see me, free, finally.